Okay, we're going to open our study session. Counselors?
We're starting.
Yeah. Counselors, local law, I'm going to hold this under A until Counselor Manto is going to talk to some of the residents of the adjoining facility. I'll go to, as far as appointment of various persons of Commissioner Deeds, we're going to see what that brings to the voting session. Counselor Caldwell.
Thank you, Pro Temp. Hope and blessings to all today. I have a lot of items. Items 11 through 49. You ready, Commissioner Byrd?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm ready. Good afternoon, Saisha Byrd, Commissioner of Parks. So item 11 and 12 is based on the dog shelter. We're going to hold those.
Are we still waiting on, we're waiting on information about that? Okay.
Yep,
so-
we'll provide that. My goal is to get it done this week and get it
Okay.
to you all next week.
Okay. Sounds good.
13 is an agreement with the AMR to provide in-kind support at variety of events that Parks holds.
And AMR is, okay, yep.
American Medical Response. 14 is with the American Red Cross to allow for the city to collect the fees for certifications and recertification cards for lifeguards through June 30, 2026, from July 25 to June 30, 26.
And there's no, okay, got you. The
Yep.
funds will be collected, deposited into the account. Yep.
15 is an agreement with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Onondaga County to support, that supports services, access to educational programs, and 4-H.
Yes, I met with them yesterday, and they explained about their great program. Next.
16 is an agreement with Eastwood Neighborhood Association to offer recreational activities in the Eastwood area parks as part of the city's 25-26 recreation program through June 30th, 26, not to exceed 1,000.
Okay.
17 is an agreement with Friends of the Zoo, Rosemont Gifford Zoo, for services related to educational programs.
And this is, the cost exceeds to $2,400. And this is just for those parks?
For the parks listed, Burnett, Thornton, Kirk, Schiller, Westmoreland, Wilson. Those are
What about the
for
others?
summer camps.
So none of the other, so those are the only parks that are having camps? Are you saying that?
Where these workshops will be offered this year.
Nothing on, okay, we'll go ahead, but we'll talk more about that.
18 is an agreement with the Food Bank of Central New York to support access to free nutritious meals for the youth as part of the after-school recreation program. And summer program as July 1 through June 30th. There's no cost to the city. Keep going? Okay. Agreement with Mike Melfi to provide services related to a one-week sports clinic, track and field, to coordinate, facilitate, and develop a curriculum for our summer program, not to exceed 4,000.
Is that all the parks?
It's offered, I can get that answer for you. It's for a core group of kids for 40 participants. I'm not sure which parks. I can get that to you, though.
Yes, on that one, and also on 17 side, I love, I know these are like reoccurring programs that we have every year, but I also would like to see some.
Counselor, it's at PSA. Yeah, and Fowler, not at Parks for that
Oh,
particular.
excuse me, yeah.
Yeah,
Is that PSLA?
and Fowler.
So
See, that's
on
not on
17, can we also look at, I would love to see it on all 4 quadrants of the city to see if we can add the opportunity with Rosemont, Rosemont Gifford Park to get another part of the quadrant.
Jesse's here. Let's bring Jesse up. He oversees the youth programming.
Yeah, let's bring them up. Hey, Jeff.
Just explanation of what it is. No. I didn't see you back there.
I know these are reoccurring programs. I love it and everything. Only thing I would ask, if possible, that we make sure we hit all quadrants of the
Which ones?
city.
With the zoo, it hits all of our community centers throughout the entire city. So it hits like Westmoreland, Wilson, Kirk, or it hits every city.
There's no way that we can do something, even that we don't have a community center, like at Skiddy
Yeah,
or,
we're looking into that. See what we can do for the Western city.
okay, yeah, that's what I mean. I just want to make
Yep.
sure that all four sides of the community, well, really five,
Yep.
have opportunity to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Don't go.
I'm not gonna.
So
20.
20 is with Move Along Incorporation to organize and run a variety of adaptive sports and recreational opportunities, and that is throughout the parks. Number 21 is an agreement with the MOST, or the Museum of Science and Technology, for services related to a series of educational programs at several of our parks.
Again, this one too. So, 21, they have them, Burnett, Thornton, Kirk, Sheeler, Westmore. I know these are all our hub parks that sort of has stations where they could go in, but
Yeah.
let's try to also look at the parks that they don't, but where, you know, there's kids that, you know, families and kids that can go and offer it. Okay, thank you. 22.
What summer program? 22 is an agreement with the National Center of Safety Initiative to provide full-service background screenings for our employees and volunteers that are over 16 working for parks in the water department from July 1 through June 26, not to exceed $6,500.
23.
23 is an agreement with Onondaga County to support ongoing educational and recreational library programs in the city parks to promote literacy. And again, at several parks through June 26. There's no cost to the city.
And it's again, I know I'm gonna repeat it just because I know you guys are doing great. And I have no qualm about the parks that it's going to. I love it, but we got so many parks. If we could sort of like push it to get other parks involved, right? Even though if they don't have a hub, to get, you know, because there's kids there, to figure out if there's a date that we can offer some of these programs at one of the sites.
24 is an agreement with Onondaga Valley Lacrosse Association to provide services related to a weekly sports clinic, which is lacrosse, not to exceed $3,000.
Okay.
20, oh, questions?
Nope.
Okay, 25 is an agreement with qualified individuals for various sports, fitness, yoga, dance, art, golf programs at a variety of our centers, golf courses, and parks, not to exceed $55,000.
Okay. Any questions, you guys? 26.
26 is an agreement with Syracuse orthopedic specialists for athletic training. It's NATA certification services as part of the 25 summer recreational program to include like supervision and oversight along with supplies to coordinate and manage all first aid services for the
27.
clinics. 27 is with the YMCA of Central New York to offer free educational and wellness programs in the city on behalf of the Department of Parks.
28.
We're rolling. 28, this one is Steve's. I'm gonna bring Steve, our arborist, up.
Good afternoon, councilors. Steve Harris, City Arborist. Item 28 is to amend our contract with Green Infrastructure Center for additional scope of services related to the updating of our tree ordinance. Those additional scope of services include most importantly, proposing updates to the zoning code, chapter 4.5, which is more complicated to move those, to propose and then move those updates toward approval, plus updating our forestry standards manual to reflect all the changes that are going to be in our updated ordinance.
Any
Questions on that? And then 29 is to renew our contract with Onondaga Earth Corps, which last year was to not to exceed $792,000, but we have additional grants, and so we would be increasing the not to exceed, otherwise everything remaining the same.
Any questions?
I'll see you at agenda item 37.
Item 30 is to amend or authorize the lease agreement for the turf tank. Turf tank sprays the lines on all the turfs. We have, it's for, excuse me, there could be two one-year renewal options with the approval of the mayor and common council, not to exceed $15,000.
So they only do the turfs, but not any of the parks, like the fields?
We do the fields.
We do the fields, but they do the turf.
Yeah,
Okay.
this turf tank sprays,
Yeah.
it's GPS.
Yes, it's lined
Huge
up. I've
machine,
watched
yeah.
it, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
31,
31 is a bond ordinance authorizing the insurance and sale of a bond for sidewalk improvement projects, not to exceed, total amount not to exceed 350, to amend and increase the amount not to exceed 371,000.
inside those sidewalks, or,
Yeah, I believe you received a list. They've been,
yeah, Logan.
there's a couple that have already been done, and we're just trying to do the parks around, the sidewalks around the parks. Kirk's has been done, Logan, there's a bunch that are being done. We provided a list.
Or my Spencer, Grosso, Kaiser, Kirk. Okay. Next.
32 is same, it's the authorization of the CHIP fund for the sidewalks, not to exceed 371,000.
33,
33 is payment to Edward Cole for rhythm and shoes for musical performance at senior centers, not to exceed $2,000.
okay.
34 is payment to Swing Music, or excuse me, motion pictures so that we can show music, movies in the park. It's a licensing fee, not to exceed 3,000.
Do we know where we're doing the movies?
I can send you the list.
Okay.
We have them, they're already chosen, and we have a couple, I believe there's 4.
Okay.
35 is authorization, payment to various individuals for services such as refereeing and officiating, department leagues and tournaments, not to exceed 19,000.
36,
36, payment for various performers at the city's Pops in the Park music series that will start in July at several parks around the city, not to exceed $11,000.
37,
Authorization, the 25-26 Natural Areas Improvement Program, not to exceed 140,000. And that's areas where landscape restoration is needed for the city park systems.
So, Saisha, with this is just normal. This is what reoccurring. This is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
38,
Bond ordinance authorizing to defray the costs from 25-26 urban forestry restoration project, excuse me, total amount not to exceed 50,000.
39 is part of 30.
The authorization for that bond not to exceed 50,000.
Yeah, 40,
This one is the seller bond for the tree pit enhancement program. It's a project. 41 is the authorization of that, not to exceed 500,000.
So, let's go back to this.
Oh,
So,
this one's different.
40 and 41. So what I was gonna say, and we spoke briefly about it, and the councils, I've talked about it. We have a lot of projects that we need to get done in their bond. So I would like to put them all in at one instead of we're bonding here, we're bonding here, we're bonding here. I'm not against this, and I know things have to get done, but let's make sure that we're maximizing our bonding issues and how we can support all the parks at one instead of just saying we're gonna bond for this and then you gotta come back later. So let's make sure we figure that out, okay?
Oh, can I go back to 36? Do we have a schedule for the Pops in the City concerts? We're going to have a schedule,
Yes, you will. It should be
Okay.
released in the next couple days.
and we will have, there will be law enforcement there, I mean, police presence at all these events, right?
We have an emergency safety plan for the Pops in the Parks.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
thank you.
Where'd I lead off?
42.
42 is another bond ordinance, total not to exceed $401,250,000 for tree planting. 43 is the authorization for that bonded money for tree planting, for a tree planting program. 44 is the purchase. This is for the Art Store of Central New York, the commercial art supplies, to purchase supplies and materials not to exceed $5,000. 45 is the purchase from Garner Equipment Company, Plumbing and Waterworks, related to equipment, materials, services, and repair for parks, not to exceed $100,000.
And this Gardner and Equipment is a company that we just use every year. This isn't something that we bid out.
This is a company we use to purchase supplies.
I know, but has it ever been bidded out? Do you know? Like,
I'm
is
not
this-
sure.
Okay.
So I just want to, in regards to 43, Commissioner, 43 and 29, what's the difference? Because they're both tree planting.
One for tree pits.
29 and 43.
So tree pits versus tree planting.
Tree pits is construction. So creating the space for roots around hardscape. So it's repairing sidewalks, like removing sidewalks, digging under the sidewalk, putting a stone under the sidewalk, putting the sidewalk back so that when we plant a tree in front of that section, roots can grow without heaving the sidewalk. Any of the upgrades to our downtown tree pits, any green enhancements to any of the engineering projects, such as the proposed DRI South Ave projects we have coming online, or the West Genesee improvements, it all goes towards that because those projects usually don't have the funds for the tree roots. So it's all construction activity. Tree planting isn't done with that bond.
Steve, the
Yep.
rubberized material that often occurs around
The FlexiPave, yep.
Yep. Is that more expensive than your average sidewalk?
It depends. It's a little bit less, but it's not as durable.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Almost there.
Thank you.
46 is the purchase of plants, planting, and landscape materials such as seeds and bulbs on behalf of parks not to exceed $50,000. 47 is the purchase of playground equipment and replacement parts from Park Tech Landscape Structures in a variety of companies, not to exceed $50,000. 48 is the purchase from Professional Turf Services for the golf course chemicals, herbicides, and consulting, not to exceed $10,000. And then 49 is a waiver of residency for dog shelter staff, folks working with and in the dog shelter, which was a recommendation from the council.
Commissioner.
For the council or counselors?
A counselor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I just
Yes.
want to
Yes, I
say
say that.
thank you to you and all of your team. You know, out of the 40-plus items on here, many of them are related to our summer programming. And I know that it's a huge lift in terms of getting all of these in place to provide opportunities to our youth and to really the community at large throughout the summertime in our parks. And so, you know, please extend our gratitude to your entire team.
Thank you.
Yes.
One last
Go
note,
ahead.
Onondaga Pool opens 2 days, so it's gonna be 87. Go jump in the pool.
You planned that, didn't you, Commissioner?
You're gonna jump in the
Planned
pool?
it. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I got the paleness to.
See you at 3
Yeah,
o'clock.
Counselor, Rashida might want to pull up Janet to talk about her
Oh,
research.
yes, before we go
item
on to
before
the
you-
next one, Janet.
It's gonna be, she's
This
looking
isn't
to
even
ask
right.
for it to go on the waiver. She might
Okay.
want to do that.
So,
This is old. Yes.
You want to pass it out to folks?
Yeah, I gave it everyone. Janet, can you come up for a second, please? Thank you.
Ask for it to go on the waiver.
These are shifted.
Hi, Janet Burke, Director of Research.
Janet, we're bringing you up about the Summer Fellows Program.
Yes.
And just briefly, so we can put it on for
And
waiver.
that's the one that's going on the waiver
Yes.
agenda for Monday,
Yes.
right? Okay. Yeah, that is the summer program that SURP runs through the Allen Foundation. And they have, I hope that you have an attachment that has all the agencies and how many children or how many youth they're going to be employing. And they'll be paid a stipend from this pot of money that was in the budget to keep them employed during the summer.
Absolutely. So for full disclosure, I would like to talk about this. All you guys know, this was a project that I created years ago in honor. It was something that the Urban League did for me as a child, and I sort of replicated the same program and giving kids opportunities to work, but also learn and build a relationship and get a skill set throughout the process. We added mental health and social emotional to it, especially everything after what happened to COVID. So this program started about 5 or 6 years ago. It originally started through the Allen Foundation, Syracuse University. The city did come in, the county came in and gave up money, but the program was created to help our youth curve through some of the barriers, and it's every year it's getting more and more popular. The school district is now a part of it. I was able to bring them forward on this program. We serve thousands of kids. For disclosure, I run the program. I help support the program throughout it. I do not get paid for the program, so we're putting that out there 100%, but it is a program that I created back 5.5 years ago to support the youth in the community. And these organizations that are a part of this list are phenomenal. Most of them do it with very little money. They don't really get any money to do it. They just have the love for the kids and supportive. So I just wanted to make sure you guys know, and I'm putting it out there, full disclosure, with the program. Some of these numbers will shift once they register, but this is what it starts off with. And I just wanted to put it out there, Janet.
Sure.
Thank the city.
It's a very
too, for
successful
stepping
program.
in and being a support for organization, for something that the kids love, and it helps them out throughout the year. So, yeah, we're gonna put it on a waiver if everyone's okay.
Absolutely.
No.
Thank you, Councilor Caldwell.
Thanks, Janet.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Councilor Michelle.
Thank you, Pro Tem. I have item 50 to 76. Chief Shaw, if you're going to kick us off.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Councilors. Rich Shaw, First Deputy Chief of Police. Number 50 is an annual agreement that we have with the Camillus Animal Hospital for our canine veterinary services, effective for the next fiscal year, and the cost not to exceed $21,000.
Okay.
Can you go over that, do that again?
Yep, that is, this, item 50 is for canine veterinary services for police canines for the Camillus Animal Hospital. It's something we do every year for the vet services for the dogs.
All right. Any questions?
51 is another annual agreement with Reverend Darren C. Jaime and Reverend Kathy Hodges for Police Department chaplain services, not to exceed $25,000.
Yep. Keep going, Chief.
52, I think Mike Leamy's going to handle that one for me.
Good afternoon, Councilors. Michael Lehman, Deputy Commissioner with the Assessment Department. This is a request to amend the ordinance from last spring authorizing lease for the police department. A couple of pieces of information didn't match what it says in the lease, so we're asking that the 3% rent increases, it's actually less than that. For the first year, it's only 2%, and then it declines to 1.5% and finally 1%. Additionally, it listed 2 renewal options with Common Council approval. There's only 1 in the lease. And the letter we submitted included a total cost not to exceed $320,000. We would like that to be included in the amended ordinance. Any questions?
No, I'll follow up offline.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilors.
You'll keep us surprised to that, right, Councilor?
Good afternoon, Councilors. Deputy Mayor Sharon Owens. Item 53 is a application agreement with New York State DCJS to implement the EXALT program, a New York City-based program. It is a juvenile justice support program for kids who are in the juvenile justice system. Last year, Commissioner Rosado decided that she wanted to expand this successful program in New York City to upstate and approach the city of Syracuse to do this. So last year, we began conversations. There were 2 days last fall, I believe, that EXALT came into town. They met with family court, juvenile justice, probation, school district, community-based organizations, so that they can understand how this model that they have will be able to be implemented in Syracuse. They're going to locate an office here. They're going to hire locally here to implement the program. It is fully funded by DCJS. There is no requirement from the city of Syracuse to implement the program. It will serve 15 to 19, but we will look at that based on feedback we get from our juvenile partners, probation partners, family court partners, to see whether or not that should be younger kids or even older young adults. So we want to really model it to fit in Syracuse. They have been actually looking around to find real estate to locate the program here. We're excited that we're at the stage now to enter into an agreement with DCJS for not to exceed $1.5 million. And the city will receive a 10% admin fee off of the contract.
You mean apply for the application, right?
Apply to DCJS.
Yeah, not
Okay.
enter an agreement.
Yes,
'Cause we're not there.
apply to DCJS.
Yeah, because we're not at the agreement, yeah.
Okay, it's not, okay. So
Yes.
just application.
So,
No.
Okay. Right.
So you had mentioned that you only wanted to approve the application, not the agreement yet, the
Right.
agreement to come back to the
Have
council?
we gotten anything from DCJS as far as? Okay, so we are applying, and then we'll come back to the council
Yeah,
for the contractual agreement.
So we'll amend the letter,
Okay.
Janet, to just apply.
Application.
Just apply.
Yeah, just
Okay, so no agreement,
Yeah,
okay.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And then that- you guys can-
And the agreement, you'll be monitoring the agreement, Janet?
The agreement have to come back for.
I mean, after the agreement, who's going to monitor the?
That's-
Research.
You will research well? Okay.
Oh, okay.
And before the agreement, it would come back to the council. It's in place, it would come back to the council. So the only thing the council is gonna look at is the application process.
All right.
And we'll come back when we have a contractual, when we
Yeah,
negotiate with DCJS on the contract, we'll come back to the council.
yeah, you guys come back to the council,
Yeah.
because this, what council is asking is that Janet, you only apply for it. Oh, only apply for it? Yeah.
Right.
And come back.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be the first city to implement this outside of New York, right? New York City?
We will be responsible for once we agree on the contract and you approve it, we will be responsible for administering it. The program will be run by EXALT, and they will locate here and hire locally here.
Right,
Staff.
but we'll be the first city outside of New York
Upstate,
City.
they
upstate to do
chose
it.
Syracuse. They
Okay.
wanted to expand it upstate and chose. We went down the horrific travel day that Councilor Caldwell avoided wisely. We went down to check out the program. It is top tier.
Deputy Mayor, I think this is a phenomenal idea. Does it include any parental intervention?
Absolutely.
Okay,
It
'cause that's
really,
so
in essence, is a preparation, workforce preparation program, in essence. And this program actually goes out and finds the partners who would provide internships for these young people. But this is really the population that we need to get
Absolutely.
some hands around, this 15 and 19-year-old group.
Excellent, thank you.
So what does the collaboration between EXALT and organization like Unbelievable and Good Life, you said earlier that the community organization here were part of this conversation initially?
So we
what is their take
So
on
we
this?
brought them, EXALT came into town for 2 days of information sharing, telling about the program, but getting feedback from our organizations as well. I can't remember specifically. I do have an attendance sheet I can share with you of who attended that, but many of our law enforcement, probation, the courts, the agencies. So that will be the part of the process by which we will identify how the service is going to be implemented. And so we're still at that point, and that's the point that we're coming back to you with the actual scope. Right now, we're trying to secure the money from DCJS.
So is the idea for, so for Exalt to apply on our behalf, right? To bring the program here?
DCJS is going to contract with the city.
With the city of Syracuse?
And then the city will contract with these Exalt and will identify the full scope of their work with the city. It works in New York City, but we want it to be coordinated and prepared so it works in Syracuse. Yes.
Okay, so I guess where I was trying to go with it, because we know there are organizations here that work with youth, that, you know, like Good Life and
several of them came and met with them last fall.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess what make this different than what our community organizations are doing?
Is the targeted work with adjudicated youth that are already in either the juvenile justice or the family court or the juvenile justice and family court. Those in probation, those particular young people. So instead of a wide net, it's very targeted to that group of young people who are within that process right now to get them moved in the right direction.
No, I'm just asking that because I know we have organizations that have put a lot of work into the community to try to elevate the youth. I just wanted to see, is there something that our organization are not doing that Exalt is going to be doing?
I think the really laser focused part of the engagement with the court system and probation is that. Okay. Laser focus on that. And one thing that in the discussion with them that I had is that I don't want them to get in mission creep. Keep the main thing, and that is what they're talking about.
Once the funding is, if we get funded for it, I guess Deputy Mayor team will bring these folks in, and you guys can hear more about what that program details.
They're eager to get here, and I said, you premature. Let's get this part done first.
So if we get the funding,
Yep.
that's the next step.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor, this isn't dependent on any way, it's all state money dependent on federal money, is it? There's no federal money being funneled through
No,
this
no, no,
program?
it's all New York State. If there was never a time in my life I was not thankful about living in New York State,
That's
it's
what I
these
was thinking
days.
too, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Deputy
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Yes. Keep going, Chief. 54.
Item 54 is an application agreement with the United States Department of Transportation for a Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration grant in an amount not to exceed $2 million. Our budget submitted, I believe, was a little less than $1 million for what we're requesting. These funds will be used for salary, fringe benefits for SPD traffic safety details, overtime details for backfill, necessary equipment, and the United States Department of Transportation training in an effort to support and enrich and evaluate commercial motor vehicle safety. There's no local match required. This was tailored around in the thought process since the 81 viaducts coming down. It's going to create extra work for the police department. We've been sniffing around for grants since the project's been announced, and this is the one we found that will assist us with that.
And again, it's an application. Are you going to come back? Because I see that's an application and agreement together.
It is an
Are you going to come back to
agreement.
us once you get it?
Do you want us to just make it an application?
It's up to you. I mean,
It's up-
that's always the choice.
Yeah,
an
we're asking for
agreement.
application agreement, so we don't have to come back, but if you want us to, I guess we have to.
If you say application agreement, if you vote on it, they don't have to, they can just, you're
Right.
okay, and the mayor to sign off and they keep it moving.
Yeah, I would like the council to be engaged once the resources are back, engage the council so that we stay abreast. Can we make sure that that's part of?
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry,
55.
55, application agreement with the United States Department of Justice under the fiscal year 25 COPS Law Enforcement Mental Health and Awareness Act grant program in an amount not to exceed $200,000. This is what we use to train our officers in crisis intervention. We just had a class graduate Friday. It's a very worthy program. It teaches officers how to deal with individuals who may be in crisis. gives them a set of skills. It's a week-long school. It's an intense school.
Okay. Any questions, councilors? 56, Chief.
56, this one was on before. We had 2 bills. It had been reduced to 1. I found 1 had been paid. I sent you all an email because you'd asked me for an explanation on why we were coming to you after the fact. And the synopsis of the email was this request for a purchase order was submitted ahead of time. It was lost over in the next step down the food chain, but our officer told the caterer that the purchase order had been submitted, so which was interpreted that they were all good to go. They provided the service, and then we didn't realize that it was still languishing for months over, and somebody else's email was out of work on long-term medical until the vendor started requesting payment.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification, Chief. Any questions? No. All right. 57.
Number 57 is somebody else.
Good afternoon, councilors. I'm somebody else. Michael Collins, Commissioner for Neighborhood and Business Development. This particular item is in coordination with the 911 call center. So it's listed here as an IMA. It is not actually an IMA. This would be a direct contact with Contact Community Services. I do have Julie Korn, who's the Commissioner for Emergency Communications, as well as Amy Cunningham, who's Commissioner of Child and Family Services, and Deputy Chief Mark Russin here as well to answer questions. The overview of this is that we have been working very closely with the county on making sure that when a person in crisis calls the 911 call center, we really have the right response rather than simply the tools that we've always had. There's been a long pilot program that has operated from 11 to 7 since those were the major call hours were. And it's been highly successful in being able to divert calls to a mental health professional. And what this would do is allow us to go 24/7. And I can bring up any of the 3 that I just named to answer specific questions. You can speak to that better than I can.
Mike, you said it's not an intermissible agreement, but it's piggybacking on the county contract. Can you explain that a little bit, why it's not an admissible agreement?
I'd be happy to. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I just say anybody can.
So I can start with that because that's probably the one thing that I can speak to more clearly. The county has an existing contract that they use through their procurement processes. As you all are likely aware, anytime that one government entity or public authority has procured a contract that through appropriate means that meets the same criteria that the city would be using, that is a viable way to do it. And we know that contact is already there, so opening up an RFP would not be really honestly fair to everybody else in the community when Contact is already basically providing the services. We're just looking to go bigger with it. So it's simply using that tool that's available to us. So that answer the question?
Answer my question.
Okay.
It's good to go.
Other questions?
Okay. Thank you, councilors.
58.
Item 58 is another annual contract that we have from Oswego County on behalf of the Department of Police to rent track time for emergency vehicle operation training to comply with New York State requirements and adequate training in both the police academy and in-service training. This is emergency vehicle training. There's only a couple tracks in all of central New York. This is the closest one. 59, this one here, well, between the two, one's for the track and the other one's for the classroom space on site that we use. So it's the same thing. First agreement's not to exceed $12,000, and 59 is not to exceed $3,000. Lastly, 60 is for our firearms training. It's with several local ride and gun clubs, the Bridgeport Ride and Gun Club, the Elbridge Ride and Gun Club, Pathfinder Fish and Game, and Camilla Sportsman's Club. Range and time for firearms training for the period of the next fiscal year on behalf of the Department of Police, not to exceed $20,000. We need to have several firearms on standby because range time is very competitive. There's a shortage of space with all the different agencies in central New York. So we need some flexibility with when we can get on where.
Hey, Chief, once the new facility is done, are we still going to be doing this, or are we going to have it over there?
So we do not have a live fire facility in the new police headquarters.
Oh,
There's a simunition training facility going to be set up where you can shoot paintballs basically at each other, but there's no live fire over there.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm Mike Monza, City Fire Chief. Item number 61 is for Value Tech. That's the program we use for the police and firefighters to purchase their uniforms and to track the spending. Number 62 is for us to accept funds from the New York State Department of Health. Those funds are earned when we train our firefighters in EMS, and when they pass education courses, we get money reimbursed from the state. Item number 63 is a renewal subscription with Image Trend. This is the what we use to report our mandated reporting for fire and EMS calls, our 911 calls. Item number 64 is an agreement with Jordan Holiday and Lindsay Newson. They are the medical service directors and consultants that help us guide our emergency medical services operations and make sure our training is up to par to meet Department of Health standards. 65 is an agreement with Sean Morrison. He's a certified plan reviewer. He does all our life safety systems over in conjunction with our plan review program over at Codes and Fire Prevention Bureau. He's certified in all the different life safety plan permitting. Number 66 and 67 are agreements with our chaplains, Father O'Hara and Pastor Darren Jaime.
And 67 is new, right?
67, no, it's a renewal. Yes, he was at the beginning of, he was contracted from January 1st this year to June 30th. This is going to be from July 1st to.
Was last year his first year, Chief?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Sorry, Chief. Cut you off.
Item number 68 is to enter into an agreement with Onondaga County to receive grant funding that the county receives, and they give it to us because we are the regional hazmat team. Is to accept $16,000. There is a typo in this document. There was a 25% match. Here on the bottom it says there was no local match, so that needs to be edited on the final sentence, if that could be striked out, please. There was, we actually had to have a 25% match.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry.
So there is no local match, has to be, it's not true.
Yes, it's not true. So I caught that.
Cut and paste.
Yeah, we caught that this morning, so. 69 is for Andrew Vendetti. He works on behalf of Syracuse Fitness. He's authorized and certified to do the warranty work for all of our treadmills, ellipticals, all of our fire station equipment that the firefighters use for their health and fitness. Item 70 is for Firematic Supply. This company repairs our turnout gear, that's our PPE that our firefighters wear in the structure fires. They are the only local place that is authorized to wash, repair if there's a rip or anything with that gear per the standard. Number 71 and 72, these are agreements for the equipment that typically is known as the Jaws of Life. We have two different sets of equipment. JPB is certified and authorized to repair one set of those equipment. Hamatro and Jerome Fire, they're certified to give us replacement parts and to repair AMCUS rescue systems, but they are the Jaws of Life. 73 is with Pierce Manufacturing. Several of our fire trucks are manufactured by Pierce Fire Truck Manufacturing, and we buy parts when we need to replace preventive maintenance or if there's any accidents or anything like that. So that's to be able to use them as an authorized and sole dealer. 74 is PS Tracks. This is a renewal. This monitors our operational checks for vehicles, SCBA, PPE, under mandated reporting that is necessary for OSHA, PESH, and things like that. And the last one I got, I believe, is 75, is Telesource. This company, they are authorized to repair our telephone service that's in our fire stations. It's a very outdated service. We're looking at switching over to VoIP, which we would not need this service, hopefully at the end of this fiscal year. Are there any questions?
I mean, I'm going to beat this to death, Chief, but I would like to have a meeting within the summer to figure out all of this agreement and renewal that are going to all these organizations to see actually which one is it's really in need to be given outside of the city and the area, to really vet are there organization here in the community that can do any of this stuff. But it's a different conversation. Let this go. But I would like to comprehensively look at all these agreements to make sure that, you know, we have exhausted all the organization in the city that could potentially do this.
I understand.
Yeah.
I think I talked to you at the Juneteenth flag raising, and I'm more than welcome to meet anytime, any place to go over these. I've vetted these 100 times since our last meeting. Anytime any counselor, you're welcome to come over and talk to our operational folks, and they can explain why these are in the way they are. We have some opportunities to try to put some things on contracts. I don't think the vendors are going to actually go that route because it's a business decision that they're going to have to make, but these items are things we need based on when we purchase these items.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm not questioning the validity of the need of these items. I'm not. I'm just trying to see from a perspective because this is a lot, right?
Yes.
And when I say it's a lot, there's a lot of money going out, and if we can curb this, where our own people within the city can do at least some of this, it'd be helpful.
I can say this again, Counselor, we've vetted that, but I am more than welcome to meet with you at any time. If you let me know when that time you're ready, I'll sit down for as long as you need to get to the bottom of your questions.
Okay.
All day long, thank you.
I just think that's, I know police and fire, there's some standardized things that they, you know, folks that they, items that they have, and they order from specific vendors for a reason. But the way we're competitive bid, that probably should be cross-board, what you're talking about, you know, parks, everybody, you know what I mean? So if that's what
Yeah, it's a
you're-
larger conversation.
Yeah, it's a larger
conversation than,
way we're competitive.
now.
But there's so many things that go into running the fire department, tons of tools and equipment, repair parts. So I think we need to put together a few hours that you can come over and I can have, and I'll leave the room and I'll leave you with the people that work for the fire department, and they can explain if we don't do these, what the impacts will be, so you can fully understand why we need to do it and why there aren't other people that can do this work per the people that we initially buy the product from.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Chief.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, councilors? Pro tem, that would be all.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilor Majah. Councilor
Oh,
Paniagua.
wait, Chief, I'm sorry. We have one waiver item, 76.
That's Michael.
Yes. Give me, that's not you, Chief. It's Deputy Commissioner Mike Lehman.
Michael?
Is Michael here? Yes, I'm sorry. We have, completely forgot, it's right here. So this item is in regard. So this item is in regards to the new to-be PSB building, 1153 West Fayette Street. And we have had some questions on it, and I think the administration has provided. Mike, thank you for the information. City Clerk, thank you for the information. So you just want to run through the item real quick, and if there are no questions, we can put it on the waiver.
Yes, Counselor, thank you. Again, Michael Lehman, Deputy Commissioner with the Assessment Department. In front of you is a letter requesting bond authorization to hire a vendor to provide furniture, fixtures, and equipment related to the relocation of police and fire from the Public Safety Building to 1153 West Fayette Street. There is an RFP ready to be advertised if Council approves. Following that, there'll be the appropriate RFP process. We'll solicit bids from eligible vendors. One will be selected by an RFP committee, and ultimately it requires mayoral and common council approval to engage into a contract with the selected vendor.
Thank you for that. Also, before Monday, would you be able to provide us with the timeline?
Yes.
The project timeline, as well as making sure that when the RFP goes, that the council is involved as well, as much as possible.
Certainly, Councilor.
All right.
So CHA will coordinate this all?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, so this is for the whole retrofit. This will all be new furniture and all that, correct?
This is phase one. There's an additional request for furnishings and equipment separate from desks and conference tables. That's what this is for right now. There'll be a follow-up request. We already have the funds allocated in the CIP for that too. You'll see that
How much
letter.
will that be, Commissioner? How much
Excuse
will
me?
that, the second phase, how much will that be?
Probably another $1 million, right?
Yes, not to exceed $1 million. And any funds that aren't spent won't be spent.
Okay.
Where are we with the OP, public safety building? Do you know?
Where are we?
Where are we with, I mean, there's a lot of,
I think the Commissioner of Assessment will
Yeah.
come in.
can help. Probably not for you, I'm sorry.
He's sort of
That's okay.
slowly making his
Yeah.
way to
Come
the
on up.
podium.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mike.
Good afternoon, all. Matt Ojay, Commissioner of Assessment. The county put out the RFP on behalf of both of us. Responses are in hand. We're vetting, working through a couple logistical issues with the operations on the current site now, but hope to let out an award anytime now.
So that will be a joint decision, or that'll be just the city's decision?
No, very much a joint decision.
It'll be a
We're-
joint decision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That should be
we'd
interesting.
obviously be coming before this legislative body with a request for a local law.
And county ledge too, right?
That too.
Okay.
So what is the city thinking? What's going on, like, full transparency?
We are. I'm thoroughly optimistic, but I've been optimistic since the beginning. I think we've got good possibilities in hand. I really think there is light at the end of the tunnel to getting a pretty transformative redevelopment of the site and getting us out from under the financial liability that the site represents right now.
So apartments is what looks like is gonna go there?
Mixed use with, a good density of housing.
So will the plan, will the bid include the demolition of the property and then the development? Or
No,
they will
I think,
or they would redevelop?
I think both
building?
primary components of the existing building would be retained.
Great tie, by the way.
Oh, this, thank you. Right back at you, Counselor.
Any other questions? That'll be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, we'll go back to Counselor Paniagua.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Yes,
I have item 76, which speaks to the extension to Excellus, right?
Correct. Good afternoon, Council. Rick Elsever, Director of Human Resources. Item 76 is the last extension on the Excellus contract that we had. We had a 3+1+1, so this is the final +1 extension for the Excellus contract to administer our benefits plan to our active employees and retirees under 65.
Nothing changes, everything the same?
Nope, nothing
So if
changes,
this is the
everything
last
is
time we're doing this extension, are we getting ready to then?
Correct. So we would need to prep an RFP for the beginning of 2026 to be ready for, probably earlier than that, but it'll probably happen in the fall to be ready for an RFP for effective this time next year.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Any
other
questions,
No, we're
concerns?
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Gathers.
Thank you, President Pro Temp. I have items 77 through 101. 77, we're going to have a public hearing on that July 7th. 78, we're going to, good to go, but we can wait for that. 79, we're also going to have a public hearing on July 7th as well. We can jump down to number 80.
Hi, Ann Fordock, First Deputy Commissioner of DPW. Good afternoon. So this is just an agreement with CIDA for the property that we use at 341 Pete Street. And so it's a one-year contract with 2 renewals, and we pay CIDA just $1 for that.
Any questions? Okay. 81.
Good afternoon, councilors. Mary Robinson, city engineer. 81 is a revocable permission with Genoptic North America. This is related to the city's deployment of speed and red light cameras to be installed in the city right-of-way near schools. So this is very similar to the license plate readers that we have another agreement for. So it's just basically giving them permission to install, operate, and maintain their equipment within our city right-of-way.
Mary, so if a constituent calls and wants, they have a complaint about their neighborhood or a speed, right? Like they're going too fast, people are going too, how do they get on the list to get a speed bump or to get some kind of mapping done?
Traffic
about-
calming?
Yeah.
That would really be a question
Is
for
that-
DPW.
Okay.
That's the longest list in the city of Syracuse, I bet you.
I believe everyone wants one. So you can send us requests, they'll be evaluated, but we don't, it's not done by request, but you can suggest it and it would be evaluated as to if it could be added.
So do we look at like where schools are? I've got, okay,
Yep.
all right.
And I think you were gonna message me one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I have one
Nader.
question, because I get asked a lot about speed humps, and I do form like the Connor and DPW, okay?
Yes.
So there is a process,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Go through it, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Mary got you hopping, that's.
Yeah, sorry, Mary.
That's on us.
No worries, no worries. 82 is a revocable permission for an existing vault at 250 Harrison Street. A lot of our vaults in the city have been there for decades, and we don't have really an inventory. So we're trying to establish an inventory and responsibility of the property owner to own and maintain their vault. So this is really documenting that.
Any questions?
Ann is back up.
Where are we at? I'm sorry.
83.
I turn the page. I believe it's for glass replacement. So, yes, so J&T Automotive, we use them to replace the glass in our vehicles. We have hundreds of vehicles, so we need somebody on hand who can do this very quickly for us. Total cost not to exceed $5,000.
Any questions? Okay.
Okay, 84 and 85 is our annual infrastructure improvements and stormwater maintenance improvements money for $350,000, the bond ordinance and project authorization.
Any questions? All right.
86 through 88 is our pedestrian safety action plan, phase 2. This is to a TIP project, which is 90% federally reimbursable and 5.6 Marchicelli funds. This is to add the construction and construction inspection phase in the amount of $1.518 million.
Mary, one day we're gonna find out where Marchicelli came from. Like, no one still knows, right?
I think you did.
I've been
Right?
asking the question for like 14 years.
No, I think
Right.
I think you and Joe Barry confirmed that it was a
Senator?
senator.
Is it? We strong on that one? Well, we like it. so
I
we
just threw it
wanted to
out
know.
there, I think. It's named after a state senator.
All right. We got a
You agree?
89, 90.
Nader agrees.
89, 90, and 91.
This is another TIP project, the Creek Walk Phase 3 project from Colvin Street to Dorwin Ave. We're just appropriating the right-of-way acquisition phase for $318,000. We're still in the preliminary design phase, but this was in the CIP, so I wanted to go for it.
Is the question going to be, Jim?
Yeah, is any of that the Midland Ave extension?
I can't answer that question because we're still really in the preliminary design phase and meeting with the neighbors and deciding our route. But
There's
this
a
was
lot
in
of
the TIP.
concerns coming
so-
off of Midland Ave in regards to that extension on one side of that
Yep.
street, so, okay.
Could we include that?
Excuse-
Could we include that by any chance with this?
Could we include,
The concern with the Midland Ave extension.
I'm not sure I understand, what do you mean?
Comment thing.
Well, I'm just saying that
I know there
to
are
address the
some
concerns about
concerns
it.
of the residents regarding the creek walk on their side of Midland Ave, which we are evaluating.
Okay.
So no decision has been made yet.
92.
92, 93, and 94 is a new Bridge New York project for replacing the deck on West Brighton Ave Bridge over the creek. This money is for all the design phase work for a cost of $370,000, 95% reimbursable.
Any questions? All right. 95, 96, and 97, I guess.
Yep, this is a new project. We want to evaluate replacing the Edna Lane, Parish Lane, and Oakley Drive culverts over Colebrook to increase the flood capacity, and the culverts are also nearing the end of their useful life. So this is seeker for the design work and a bond ordinance and project authorization. My intent is to hopefully find a grant for the construction of these culverts. The next item, I did get a grant, but I'll explain that. These are small residential streets. Where's my next one? On West Colvin Street or Midland? East Colvin.
East Colvin.
That's a highly traveled roadway, and that source of funding is based on traffic counts. So I couldn't apply for a grant, the same type of grant for these culverts because they're small residential streets, unfortunately. But we might be able to get some flood mitigation grant money. Yeah. But I want to get the engineering going so that we know what we need and then can pursue a grant.
So Mary, maybe this is for Corey. Corey, did we, at some point when, a couple of years back, we talked about dredging that area? Is this part of that?
We did.
Right?
Yep. We
So, and this is
completed
to
that
just
dredging.
raise the bank a little bit, right? To build,
Well,
to make it
no, we
stronger.
cleaned out the sediment out of the bottom of Colebrook so that
Yeah, so that it handles
it
more.
restores the flood capacity.
What about the conversation with, I don't know
Edna
across
Lane?
from Green Hill?
Well, the county did build a retaining wall on the west bank of Colebrook.
Okay.
In conjunction with our creek clearing project. It was done about the same time period. And
okay.
Knock on wood, it has worked successfully
so
with
far,
the rain
okay.
this spring. But
We
we still have concerns about the capacity. So that's why we want to evaluate this.
Yeah. Thank you.
And design.
Thank you. Good.
I think we're up to 98. So 98 to 100 is the Meadowbrook Culvert Replacement Project, where we got Bridge New York money, 100% reimbursement for the whole project, which should not exceed $1.476 million.
Okay.
This is our first culvert grant that I've been able to obtain, so
Oh, Mary.
Yeah.
one win.
Get more.
Any questions on that? We haven't started that project, so this will initiate the project. Item 101 is to replace 2014 SUV Jeep Patriot for a cost not to exceed $45,000.
Any questions? No. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Councilor Gathers.
I got 101 for the purchase of a Jeep. Did she say that already?
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you.
102, under Councilor Hogan.
Hi, all. We are requesting authorization to enter into a lease with Onondaga County. Backstory here, about a year and a half ago, I think, we came to council to request authorization to purchase the terminal lands from New York State at the Inner Harbor. They came with a restrictive covenant. They need to be used in perpetuity for public use. County has approached us with a proposal in keeping with that. Improvement of a portion of our terminal lands, no cost to the city, a 30-year lease under the terms of which the county would, I think, invest a little over $500,000. This would be creating improvements on our parcel that ultimately will match the improvements that our Parks Department and Planning intend to undertake, but on a faster timetable than the city is able to.
30?
A 30-year lease. So this, and I recognize that this is, if not unprecedented, you know, we have a lease on Coleridge at the foot of Burnett Park that is 99, a couple other long-term leases. I recognize this is a little unusual. Between the size of the investment and the economic life of the improvements that the county intends to install, we think this is appropriate. It allows them to amortize the cost of their improvements over the life of this, but also ensure that decking, railings, hardscape, lighting will last for an appropriate term.
I mean, that sounds great, but do we know what besides, like what's gonna go there and what there, besides the fixing the?
I do see Archie Wixon from the county behind me. I don't want to put him on the spot. We've had very productive conversations both internally with our design people and with the county. Our consultants, I believe, are in touch with theirs, and we're going to ensure that A, the design elements match, and B, that we're able to source replacements for these should the need arise. But I'll defer to Archie for any more specifics that he's able to provide.
Hi, folks. Archie Wixon. I'm Commissioner for Facilities for Onondaga County, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
I just was curious of like how does, I really didn't have too many questions. I thought it was nice, but I was just curious of how does that work, like those renderings work? If there was something that, you know, do you create all the design? Is it a partnership? Is it like for the next 30 years, that means that the county will take over solar, that area of solar? What if development comes? How does that work? Like,
So the area is a 50-foot L-shaped strip of land. You've seen it
Yeah.
in your document right there. Right? It's kind of a sliver of land in between, you know, both of our efforts developing the Inner Harbor. I've offered Eric Ennis a collaboration and some cooperation with trying to match any of the design elements or the kit of parts of selected style of benches, lighting, things like that. The first step is for us to actually be able to have control of the property through the lease agreement, and that'll allow us right now to continue the grading plan to incorporate those elevations of the property that adjoins our property. And at that point, you know, we'll come to an agreement. We're not set in stone about the selection of railings, benches, lighting, footpath surface. You know, we're happy to make that match or be very similar to what things that you envision in your development down there.
no, I'm just just curious. I mean, I think it's great, but just curious. Thank you.
So that is county-owned or city? City-owned right now. So we could eventually use it for development?
It is only a 50-foot wide piece of
Okay.
land that borders county's property in the Inner Harbor. It's called the terminal lands, and it was, a year and a half ago, was formally conveyed from the Canal Corporation, New York State Canal Corporation, to the city of Syracuse, and we're asking for a lease to have control, maintenance, and use of that 50-foot strip.
And you're going to maintain the landscaping?
Yes.
Why don't you put a few swing sets, maybe a park, you know, be good.
Keep on asking, Councilor.
We're certainly looking to support the development down in that area.
Good.
And encourage, you know, public use of it.
This is akin to when the county took over the zoo and improved a lot of the property around Burnett Park Zoo. So, I mean, we've done this before, basically, so. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Councilor Williams, 103. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hogan. I have items 103 through 122.
Good afternoon, councilors. Vinny Scipio, Director of Digital Services. Items 103 through 106 I can speak to. 103 is essentially a renewal of sorts to have an agreement with a software provider that we already utilize, that we've utilized for many years to support BAA functions or MBB functions. So any questions on that one. Alrighty. 104 is essentially exercising a renewal option and updating the company name referenced in the agreement due to a structure change. So,
Vinny, with regard to Camino,
Mhm.
I feel like I heard somewhere through the whole, evaluation of our IT and software that Camino has aspects that are built out but not being used, or we're not using it to its full capacity. I'm not sure if that would be you or Jake, maybe.
I'd have to review. I've reviewed the report, but if I recall, it might have been that something else could potentially leverage.
No, I don't
or
think.
was it, or no.
It wasn't in the report. I think it was more conversation with whomever from wherever. I don't.
Got it.
over the past
I can tell you
couple months.
that currently we are, we've leveraged Camino for some time now with plenty of different permit types being able to be applied through, and we're actively working with the permits team to continue building out different application types. So, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, if you.
So everything's in our current system. Not everything. A lot of things are still in IPS, but we have a schedule and a plan to get everything done by the end of this calendar year into this new software. And the best way to describe it is IPS is a used car clunker that we're trying to keep alive, where Camino's more like leasing a new vehicle. It's web-based. It continues to get updates and new features to it. So that's what this agreement is for. But we totally plan by January to have everything out of IPS and into Camino. It's a lot more daunting task than a lot of people realize.
Thank you, Jake. I think it's an apt analogy with El Camino, the old truck.
Alrighty. 105 is exercising a renewal option for ePlan, which is leveraged by not only code enforcement, there's a couple other users throughout different departments for when permits come in, different users from different departments that need to do review associated with it. It's a digital platform to facilitate that. 106 is the payment for year 2 of the OpenGov platform, which is our new digital RFP platform. This is paid for by a grant, so it does not, come out of a city budget specifically. Thanks, counselors. Good afternoon again. Michael Lehman, Deputy Commissioner with the Assessment Department. We are requesting authorization of a license agreement for the city-owned commercial lot at 255 Walton Street. It's currently being used by the owners of 235 Walton Street, who own the building at 239. We had a lease agreement with the owner from 2001 to 2021 for 10 parking spaces. That lease has expired, and they had been effectively holdover tenants for several years. They stopped paying in October of 2019. We have since gotten them to pay up, basically, all rent as a holdover tenant, so they've paid back the city, as of now, $19,541, and we want to basically create another agreement to license those spaces to them. That lot is ours, to allow for the employees of that building to park there, but the city should be appropriately compensated for use of its property, $680 per month, which is an increase of about 230% from the previous terms, and there's a 2.5% escalation clause in the 5-year license agreement.
So, Michael, I'm looking at the image online, and there's a security arm, a bar that kind of comes down.
Yes.
Are they the sole users of that particular lot?
The owner and tenants of the building at 239 are the only users, yes. Any other questions? Thank you, councilors.
With 108, we are asking permission to retain Collier's Valuation and Advisory Services to appraise property on North Warren Street, subject of property tax litigation. Property's been at issue for a couple of years now. Petitioner believes it's worth a certain amount. We are more certain that it is worth what we have it on the roll for. Court is requiring us to bring in an independent appraisal to back that up.
Is that city-owned?
No. Sorry, this is a privately owned parcel. This is a
Privately
parking
owned.
lot at the corner of James and North Warren.
Okay, I know it. Okay.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about the downtown parking lot.
Which one?
235, no, 255 Walton. The prior agenda item. I hadn't.
I
shifted
can
in
answer
my head
questions
yet.
on that too if need be.
Do you have a, it's sort of off topic, but can we get a list of all city-owned lots?
Oh yeah.
Get it?
Like all 700 out of them in and out of the city? Sure.
I mean,
We've got a lot.
we have
No
a lot?
no pun intended. Yeah. No, it's over 700 parcels inside and outside of the city. You know, a lot of these are just, minuscule residential, non-buildable residential lots, everything from City Hall down to strips of pavement someplace.
That was a parking garage.
And parking garages. Yeah. So Sura and Sida too, or just city-owned?
Just city-owned. Just curious of what's sellable and
Yeah.
what's not.
Yeah, sure. It's a dynamic document, but yeah, Michael maintains one and we can get it into your hands.
It's dynamic.
Oh, it's dynamic.
Thank you.
Thanks, all.
Good afternoon, Council. Mike Canizero, Commissioner of Finance. I will be presenting 109 through 112. So 109 is kind of a typo from a previous ordinance. This pertained to out-of-scope billings with our fiscal year 24 audit. We're looking to increase the amount for fiscal year 24 being paid in fiscal year 25 by $986.35. I think the previous ordinance, we had increased the 126,000 amount to 130,000, whereas the billings did come in just shy of 131,000. So we're asking for that additional contract increase for the fiscal year 24 audit. Any questions on 109? So moving to 110, this is an agreement with 3+1. They provide liquidity and kind of cash flow forecasting for the city. Anytime, really a team of consultants that we work with, they work with municipalities throughout the country as far as maximizing returns, reducing bank fee costs, and just really looking for the best deal. So an example of what they did was last year I would have presented to you a revised investment policy that added some additional vehicles on there as far as what we can invest in. One of those was an insured cash sweep account. Because we made that change and we found a banking partner that gave us a better rate, we saw about $1.35 million in interest income in fiscal year 25 than if we had invested just in treasuries, that's what we're doing. So, they're constantly evaluating the market, finding opportunities in this interest rate environment and the volatility. A couple of years ago, we were investing in certificates of deposits because those were the best rate we could get. A lot of uncertainty with treasuries right now. Now they're coming back and saying, maybe look at CDs again, which is obviously more of an illiquid investment vehicle. But so this is a one-year contract. We did waive the RFP process for $76,500. Honestly, it's less than one full-time equivalent in our department, and they're providing services well beyond what one full-time equivalent could provide. Any questions on 3+1? Moving to 111, this is there's a typo. We submitted a wrong letter. This should be a period of 1 year, so really looking for an entire fiscal year contract for fiscal year 26. Central City Data Services LLC is a one-member LLC. It is owned by Trevor Grant. You previously approved a 6-month contract with Trevor back in January. Just some of the items he's working on are getting to enhanced reporting with New York State Retirement. So he's built a web interface with the AS400 as far as pulling that information to get a draft report that would allow us to, meet that enhanced reporting threshold with New York State retirement. He's a very talented individual. We're looking at how do we record sidewalk corner photos better using SharePoint? How do we create an app that will, seamlessly make sure those photos get associated with a proper intersection? So really, and Andy built out the integration between SWC Kronos and AS400. So we're still in the process of, rolling out that testing, parallel testing with a number of departments, but that integration as far as SWC to AS400, that is built. So really all that manual timekeeping, paper-based timekeeping that we're doing today, we have that integration built as far as the systems. So again, 1-year contract, $75,000. Any questions on that?
Mike, I'm trying to figure out, is the short title, should that say 1 year, 12-month? It says 6 months.
It says 6 months. We submitted the wrong letter because the previous letter was a 6-month agreement. This is intended to be a 12-month agreement. So I know the finance secretary's already reached out to budget, and we're looking to get this amended on Monday's agenda.
When is the current 6-month?
6/30/25.
Oh, wow, that was in January.
Quick.
Wow.
Yeah, January was 6 months ago. And then the last agreement is an agreement with Fuss Charles Chambers. They're a local accounting firm. Right now, this was an RFP. We are looking to renew the 3rd year of that RFP. This provides us, outsourced accounting. So we have someone that comes into the office and works here 3 days a week. Our assistant director of accounting was out on maternity leave. So, having this, contractor, on retainer made that a lot easier, as far as our official statement for bonding. She, our contracted accountant worked through all of that. And then, I review it. Additionally, we've been using some of these funds for a grants management project. I am planning on circulating some of those materials with council at some point. That's another individual with FUST. He's met with over a dozen departments, bureaus, to document what our current grant process looks like, very common pain points, similar difficulties experienced by staff. So, the first phase of that was documenting our current process, and now we're entering into what do we want the city process to look like. And again, we're interviewing our departments that I don't have capacity, my staff don't have capacity to go out to the departments and interview them. So kind of coming up with that umbrella grants process, and again, getting buy-in from all the departments to reduce some of these frustrations and making sure that we're spending the money on time, we're getting reimbursed the money on time, and just to make that a better process overall. So this is a 1-year renewal for fiscal year 26. Again, kind of those two components, contracted out accounting work and special projects as they arise. So I have some great flow charts as far as all the different departments. That's one of the deliverables that have come out of this. So I can share those with council if you would like. Any questions? Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good afternoon, councilors. Jen Tiff, Director of Strategic Initiatives. I will cover items 113 through 116. These are all essentially the exact same agreement. They're just with 4 different building owners. And this is essentially to rent rooftop space on these building roofs for our municipal broadband equipment. All of the funding for these agreements for 18 months is actually included in our grant with New York State. So the city is not directly funding these agreements, but we would like to enter into them as soon as possible so we can get this equipment installed.
A question now. So, like with the Moyer carriage loss.
Yes.
They being paid for it, right?
I'm sorry,
They're going
Counselor.
to be reimbursed. We're using their building through housing.
Correct, yeah.
visions.
So we would be paying them a monthly lease fee, which essentially the state would reimburse us for.
Okay.
the
and
state of
done-
New York.
And everything's been done necessary, that it'll be secured, it's safe, though?
Yeah, we worked with essentially operating agreements with each of the building owners first to make sure
Okay.
they were comfortable with how we would install the equipment, how we would maintain the equipment. So all of the building owners are comfortable with the installation plan. We're actually going through the process now of scheduling the installations with all of them. So once we get your approval, we should be able to actually have all of this equipment installed in the next probably 3 to 4 weeks, which means we'll be able to start providing broadband service on the north side and in the valley pretty much in the next few weeks.
Last time you were here, you mentioned that the devices on homeowners' property would be rather small. What are we talking for these larger installations?
So they're a little bit bigger, but honestly, they're not super big. If you see some of the, if you walk around or just like look up when you're driving down any of the streets, chances are on any of these buildings downtown, you'll see like a metal structure with a few different antennas. It's really one of those antennas. So it's probably about the size of this.
It's not going to significantly impact the view.
No. They're actually considered radios. They're not like 5G cells or satellites. They're really just radios. So they range in size, but they could be as small as this or maybe the size of this.
Where are we with broadband? What is the price for the people that qualify? What are they paying? And the people that don't qualify, what are they
The
paying?
income qualified residents are paying $15 a month. And then there's only one other rate. It's $36 for folks that, aren't low income.
Thank you.
Yep.
So the plan is after 18 months, we find somebody else to help us out here.
Yeah, so the plan for the program in general is for it to be essentially self-sustaining. And so one of the things we're trying to do, obviously, with the New York State grant in particular, is get the network up and running as quickly as possible so we can start to get as many people using it as possible, because we really want to test out that business model to make sure that the revenues coming in do sustain it. But yeah, in theory, like these costs and other costs associated with just operating the service would be completely self-funded by the service itself.
And this is by their income?
Correct, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, councilors. I'm Dave Proack, Director of IT, and I am here regarding items 117 through 120. Item number 117 is renewal of our IMA, our intermunicipal agreement with Onondaga County. When we utilize a Onondaga County resource for help with PeopleSoft or with Kronos, we reimburse them dollar for dollar for any of their costs, be it one of their consultants or one of their employees at their hourly rate plus some fringe. So this is a renewal of an agreement that goes back a long time, probably 8 or 10 years, not to exceed $90,000 per year. The cumulative that you see there is representative of how long the original agreement's been in place. Okay. Item number 118 and 119 we're asking for permission to be able to pay Northland for a couple of services they offer. One provides phone and internet access to our Parks Spencer Street location, and the other is kind of a catch-all for a number of services that are offered at our parking garages. We'd like to get caught up on what we owe Northland. The previous agreement had expired, and I expect that these services and a few others will be RFP'd this summer. All right, so that's 18 and 19. 120, here we go.
Here we are.
Cash Capital 2025. It's a party in IT this week. So we're asking for our funds to be released for our 24-25 capital request. Second page of that letter provides an outline of how we expect to spend that money?
Dave, I appreciate your patience.
Pardon me?
I appreciate your patience.
Democratic process sometimes. Any questions, counselors? Thank you. Enjoy the heat.
Connor Rourke, Assistant Corporation Counsel. For 121, we are asking for the approval of a settlement of Joshua Parkas versus the city, and the amount is $10,000.
Can we have a discussion in executive session on detail?
Yeah.
Thank you.
122, sorry about that. 122, we have, wait, oh yeah, okay.
Afternoon, Leah Whitmer, Director and Chief Administrative Law Judge for the BAA. This is for service in the chances that we do personal services for BAA ticketing, identical to the item that Law had last session. This is just for our department. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Councilor Williams. Councilor Jones-Rouser, or Mr. Manto is subbing.
You can call me Patrona today, that's okay. Thank you, President Hogan. Councilor Jones-Rouser has 123 through 145. Hi.
Good afternoon, councilors. Tanya Eastman, Director of Neighborhood Grants and MBD. I'm here requesting agreement with SU for the UNSAC 25-26 allocation on behalf of NBD, consistent with the current service agreement. And in the packet, you'll see the list of organizations, applicants, and who the committee voted on for funding for 25-26.
Has everybody been paid for the 24-25 funds? Are those all out the door?
Most of them.
Okay. 23-24 is all out, right?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I've been honestly in weekly contact with everyone.
Okay.
So.
Questions, anybody? 124. Thanks, Tanya. Hi, Kimon.
Good afternoon, councilors. Kimon Jordan, Director of Housing and Neighborhood Planning. So item 124 is a request to enter into an agreement with CityLink Architecture to support the city's blight busting program. It's one that's been vacant for a few years, but we are very excited and ready to get it back up and running. So in short, the program looks to address vacant and abandoned properties that have exterior violations and where code enforcement efforts have been unsuccessful. So NBD will identify a list of properties. We'll send that out to an architect to draft work scopes, hopefully Hillary. Those work scopes would then go to a pool of contractors who can bid. Contractors would complete the work, and then the city would pay the contractor and then bill the property owner for it.
Do the property owners actually pay after we bill?
Yes, so we launched the program back in 2018. We recouped about $50,000
Out of how much?
out of $240,000.
So about $1 and $5.
Yes. We do try to prioritize bank-owned properties or properties that are in a mortgage foreclosure. Banks have the capacity to make that payment.
Thanks, Kimon. 125.
Good afternoon, councilors. Michelle Sapiansky, Deputy Commissioner of Neighborhood Development. Items 125 and 126 are companion pieces to authorize the award of funds that were allocated in the fiscal year 24-25 budget to home headquarters, and then to enter into a funding agreement for SURA to administer those dollars on the city's behalf. The work, home headquarters will be using the funds to complete rehabilitation work at 1725 South Salina Street. It's a 6-unit apartment building that will be maintained as affordable rental housing.
Michelle, those units in that building, how many bedrooms are they?
I don't have that information off the top of my head. I think that there's a mix of 2 bedrooms. I can confirm exactly with Carrie what
Nothing larger
what it
than
is.
2 though, right?
I'm not positive. I'll double check for sure. But it is a really key asset along South Salina Street, and it's one that we've been working with Home Headquarters and Housing Visions and other partners to look to get units online, particularly for as we're planning for relocation needs of SHA tenants. So it's really a key site that we want to see move forward.
Because a lot of those McKinley Manor are more than 2-bedroom units, right?
There's a mix. I think they have a pretty spectrum of composition needs there. But I can get that information and let you know for sure.
So this money was originally ARPA money to special
No, these were
objects?
city general funds that were authorized within the special objects account, completely independent of any ARPA funds.
So this is the 500,000 we added last year to the
Correct.
budget.
So we put it in the special objects of expense specifically for this?
You put it in the special objects of expense specifically for home headquarters. Home headquarters would like to use it for this purpose to complete rehabilitation work at this address.
And why are we running it through SURA?
Because of the limitations that we have with regards to allowable uses of city general fund
Monies for
dollars.
housing.
It's on a private residence, so if we are doing the work in conjunction with an urban development plan under the umbrella of SURA, that allows us to be able to use the funds for those purposes in a way that maintains compliance with the laws.
So it's a lot like what we discussed at the
Correct,
last
yes. Yep. This particular address happens to be within the bounds of the existing SURA urban development plan, which is why it's able to move forward right now.
Thank you.
And then item 127 is a request to amend ordinance 146. This was a piece of legislation that the council authorized funds in an amount not to exceed $176,000 for home headquarters to do lead remediation repairs. The amount, original amount that was authorized in that ordinance is remaining the same. We're just making an adjustment on the list of addresses. So the final list of addresses that will be included there are 131 East Colvin Street, 136 Delaware Ave, and 426-28 Cortland Ave.
And what about Lincoln?
Lincoln is, that was covered in a prior amendment of a different ordinance. That is a project that has its own dedicated ordinance. The work is still happening, but it's independent of this list.
So why are we pulling these three?
Because the scope of work at Lincoln in particular was one that was actually a full abatement project, which is different than remediation in terms of the scope and kind of permanency of it. So we wanted to make sure that the ordinance reflected kind of the different nature of the work. The other ones were ones that just kind of in conversations with home headquarters and SMNC, they were situations where I think they were able to transition the properties into home ownership for tenants that were in the properties. And so they wanted to switch out the addresses. And again, kind of understanding the SMNC in general is a really important portfolio of affordable rental housing. It's really important that we get these units and maintain them in safe condition.
2025, no money's been used for this land.
So it's the same dollars, we're just changing the properties, right?
Correct.
Okay, but we haven't spent any of it yet?
Correct. For this particular project.
We're ready to go now?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
What was the holdback?
Sorry, can you say that again?
What was the holdback? Why wasn't it spent?
The holdback?
Yeah, what was the reason?
There was just a switch in the projects that home headquarters asked to prioritize. I'm happy to get more information from Carrie for you if you'd like, but.
More questions? All right. Thanks, Michelle.
Yep.
You okay, Commissioner?
I'm well. It's been a long morning.
Well, I shouldn't have asked that.
Yeah.
You're obviously
Thanks.
okay.
Thanks. We're requesting council authorization to sell city-owned parcel at 234 Marguerite. This was a paper street for a long time, abandoned in the mid-70s. Adjoining property owner has been caring for the property for a really long time. He's owned the property, owner-occupant has lived next door for about 25 years. He's mowed our lot for us, unbeknownst to us. Would like to buy it, applied through the city-owned property sales application process. I know ultimately Councilor Jones-Rouser and Councilor Geathers have walked the site. Neither's here to talk about it, but we would like to sell it.
So why Why isn't this one going to the land bank when we send it to the land bank?
Well, we do have the city-owned property sales application process by which we, A, look to exercise our fiduciary responsibility and you know, get back some of the money for properties in our portfolio. B, I think from the inception of the land bank chose not to take any properties from our remaining portfolio. I think they had the option to take everything we own that we don't have an operational use for 11 years ago and didn't. So these are those that we've held back.
And he's been maintaining that. Yeah, we haven't done anything for, they said, like 10 and 15 years.
Yeah, he's been keeping this lawn in better shape than many of us do. So, thanks all.
Kimon Jordan, NBD. So items 129 through 145 are requests to have these properties transferred to the land bank once the foreclosure is complete. We initially circulated this list to council on May 1st and then met with Councilor Jones-Rouser to review which ones need additional outreach. These are the remaining properties that should be ready to go.
That's fine.
Anybody on these?
I'm fine. You have a list, right? You sent it to us? Yeah. The list?
Would you like a physical
The
copy?
next one is-
Oh, you have copies? Yeah. Oh, look at you. Go, come on.
Thank you. Come on. Oh, is this yours?
Come on.
I think that's
That's
yours. No. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Simone.
We did all this work, come on, that's why it's incumbent of us to ask for it.
Yes.
Hey, come on, I got a quick question. And you might not be able to answer it, but I just gotta ask it. So, going up Brighton, there's a lot of houses, Cannon, Brighton, all the way to Midland, crossover Midland a little bit. So you got two schools, you got Danforth, you got McKinley, Brighton. So I was, riding around the neighborhood and I saw that most of those houses are already taken, between Cannon and Salina. They're now land bank. And we got a couple more. Do we have, like with them already being gone, do we have something going on that we think we're gonna build there? Is that like a project that's coming? Like, are they, because what I wanna say is they look awful, right? So when we come in and then that's like the interest in and out our city, right? Do we have a plan on knocking those houses down soon? Like, is there a plan so that they could build and put new houses? And some of them not even houses, they were old businesses.
So I think it'll depend on which properties, but Brighton and Cannon is right at the edge of one of the R&I neighborhoods. So I think as agencies like Home Headquarters and Jubilee Homes finish up some of the work being done in the Garfield and Woodland area, we would then start to move into other R&I areas to do infill housing development.
So we don't have any plans, because right now from Midland, from Cannon to Salina, we almost own, well, we don't. I'm not me, but Land Bank in the city almost owns everything going forward.
Yeah, I
There
can
might be
check
like
in.
one or two besides the Elks Lodge. Those are all, there were some businesses that were there, and then houses, and then it's the park is typically owned
So
by.
the ones to the left of the Elks Lodge, I know there's also a commercial property behind one of those structures. Those recently transferred. I think Land Bank plans to take them all down and
Okay.
create one larger site. And then across the street, the city does own some property there as well.
Okay, all right. We'll talk more offline. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, come on.
Okay, rounding third, going for home, Councilor Manto.
Last but not least, Mary.
Good afternoon again. Item 146 is authorizing a betterment agreement with New York State DOT to allow them to pay them to reconstruct a city-owned combined sewer 15-inch in the 600 block of Irving Ave. So we had planned to do this project. We designed it. We're ready to bid it, but this work is being done, or contract 4 of the I-81 project is within this same work area as where we need to replace our sewer. So we don't want to hold them up from progressing their work. We haven't gone out to bid yet, which is a couple month, 2 to 3 month process. So they got a price from their contractor not to exceed $1.1 million, which was in line with our cost estimate. So instead, we're going to have their contractor do the work, and we will pay them for that work. So this is the agreement to formalize that arrangement.
Off topic, same area. Are we done at Lodi and Burnett?
I can't answer that question. I can let you know, though.
when you have a chance. That has been disrupted for a long time, so those businesses right there are not too happy, but
Okay, I'll find out, let you know.
thanks, Mary. I'm all set, Counselor.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second. Counselor, are we gonna make a motion to go into executive session?
Yeah, we gotta go to executive session.
Let's do it
We
Monday.
normally, Connor,
Connor, can you do, Connor, we'll do it Monday.
what are we doing?
You guys, stay with the process.
What's 2 more minutes?